Hello and welcome. I am so glad you're here today. Today, I'm going to go solo, and this is the first solo episode, and I'm doing it because there is a topic that I am seeing over and over that I really wanted to address today, and that is post-separation abuse. The truth about post-separation abuse is it does not always leave bruises that we can see. So today, I want to talk about the issue. It's out there over and over again, and give some solutions or some strategies for how to manage when you are a victim of post-separation abuse. This is the Silver Divorce Podcast, broadcast from the Whitfield Media Group studios in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And it is proudly brought to you by our title sponsor, the Center for Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, and show sponsor, Medicare Misty. Center for Sports Medicine and Orthopedics is the area's leading provider of multi-specialty orthopedic care. Using innovative surgical techniques and technologies, our team of specialists deliver exceptional results backed by exceptional patient care. Learn more at sportmed.com. Medicare Misty is a real person. She can help answer your Medicare questions. Get real help from her team at MedicareMisty.com. And I'm your host, Lisa McCluskey. Thank you for joining us. And now, let's podcast. So, what is post-separation abuse? I mentioned that it doesn't have to leave bruises. Most people think of abuse as being physical abuse, but post-separation abuse is abuse that continues after you have physically separated. So it can take many forms, and it does extract an emotional toll on the entire family. And as I said, it isn't always physical, but it can be financial. Maybe that person is intending to leave you penniless. They want to put a stranglehold on you so you'll submit to what they want. And how do they do that? Well, some of the ways are they'll take your name off credit cards. Maybe they're going to drain or close a bank account. Or they don't pay important bills, like they stop paying the mortgage, or maybe they're not paying the utilities. Things that need to continue to come out of the joint account until the divorce is resolved. Perhaps they're taking away access to that. And again, the intention is to just leave you in a stranglehold financially. Also, there's intimidation. Maybe they're cyber stalking you. They're threatening physical harm, or they're threatening to post intimate pictures of you. Maybe they have photographs that couples might share with each other when they are in a very good place in their relationship, and they've kept those, and they're threatening that they're going to post those on social media. That's intimidation. And then also, there are a lot of times when people will threaten suicide as a means of control. So those all fall into that category of intimidation. And then there's the legal abuse, and that is sometimes they're going to threaten to report you to authorities. You know, they will say that you are neglecting your child, or they want to make up things that they can call authorities, or perhaps they do make some anonymous call to CPS just because they want to cause you problems. Or maybe they're going to make a false call to the police. They're going to report maybe a burglary or something like that at your house that causes the police to show up, and they use it as an intimidation tactic. And then finally, there's isolation. You know, they oftentimes in divorce, one person doesn't want to be seen as the bad guy or bad girl, and so they will start to spread lies among your mutual friends. They want to make you appear unstable, so they'll make up stories about things you did or things that you said, and they also want to sway your family to their side. You know, maybe they claim, this is very common, where they will claim, oh, he or she is alienating the children. They're telling the children stories. You know what? Often the children aren't being alienated by stories that the other spouse is telling. The children can see, especially if they're adults, they can see and have experienced how that parent has treated them. And it's not uncommon for a child, an adult child especially, to stand up for one parent or the other when they see abuse is going on. So those are just some of the common ways that abuse happens after you've separated and while you're going through the divorce process. So there are things that you can do to protect yourself. You don't have to stand by. You don't have to hope that it'll pass. You can take some concrete measures to protect yourself. One of those is communicate only in writing. Only communicate via text or email. And if you communicate in that way, you're going to have a track record, if you will. You're going to have evidence of how you have communicated. And if you have minor children, I recommend that you download a parenting app, a co-parenting app. There are a couple of co-parenting apps that are actually used by many court systems. And one is Our Family Wizard, and the other is Talking Parents. They track all communication, and that communication cannot be deleted. And also, some of them, I know Our Family Wizard has this, they have a tone meter, and that tone meter is going to flag toxic language. So your spouse or soon-to-be ex-spouse, they won't have the excuse that they need to talk to you because they need a schedule or they need a medical record, because the good news is you can load schedules for school, you can load schedules for sports activities, appointments, and you can even load medical histories and insurance information into those apps. So that leaves no excuse for that toxic parent to contact you and continue to bully you. And then also, many times what they find is that when everything is documented, it does tend to have a self-regulating effect. Once that other person knows that their conversations can't be erased, that their toxic language is going to be flagged, that it's possible that this could be submitted to the court, they might tone it down a little bit. So it's definitely worth a try. And then if you have a high conflict divorce, document everything. You will want to record the conversations. I mean, first of all, the most important thing is to know what your state allows. For example, in the state of Tennessee, it is a one-party state, and that means that only one party who's participating in the conversation needs to give consent for it to be recorded. So you will want to look up if your state is a one-party state. And if that is the case, as long as you are participating in the conversation, you may record it. And there are some very simple ways to do that. You can simply launch, if you have an iPhone, a voice memo app on your phone. On the Android phones, there is an app that you can launch as well. Slip that into your pocket every time that you're going to have a conversation with that person and go ahead and record it. That voice memo app, I found, picks up conversations very well. And that leaves you with a documented record. If that person is going to say, she tried to say this or he said that, it's documented. And once your conversation is done, you simply save it, and then you can save it to your cloud. So with iPhones, there's the iCloud. There's also Google Drive. There are many storage solutions you can use to save those conversations. You may not need them after your divorce is final, and if you don't need them, you can always delete them. But just to protect yourself in cases where there is abuse that has happened, record those conversations. And again, you can do it very discreetly. Just launch that app, slip your phone into the pocket. The microphone picks up voices very well. It's just a self-protection measure. And then limit your physical contact. Only meet that person in public places. If you're in a situation where the spouse has belongings and wants to come and pick up those belongings, pack them yourself. Take photos. and then have them on the porch or in the garage so they can pick them up without having to have a face-to-face contact with you. And, that is a lot more work for you to pack them up, but as long as you are packing them up respectfully, you are taking photographs to show how well you packed them, that you didn't intentionally damage them, it is perfectly acceptable for you to do that. And then have a friend present at pickup. If you're really concerned, have a friend there when that person is going to come and pick them up. And if you fear your physical safety, you can take the next step and hire an off-duty officer to be there with you when that person comes. You would simply contact, there is the Police Benevolent Association or Fraternal Order of Police. Those are two associations for police officers, and oftentimes you can hire off-duty officers through them. The other thing that you might want to do is ask your attorney if you can change the locks. Many times, though, you're not able to change the locks until the divorce is final, but check with your attorney and see if that's okay. One of the things that you can also do is install cameras. There are some very inexpensive camera options out there that view your front and back of your house, so you can see if that other person is coming well before they get to your door. And I'll just share that Amazon has Blink. I'm not getting paid. I'm not an affiliate, but I have found the Amazon Blink cameras to be excellent. They have an outdoor camera that is battery operated. You can attach to a pole, and it has a wide viewing range. The doorbell cameras are also good. Just make sure you cover all of your access points so that you can see if that person is coming and be prepared to take action if you need to. You may know this, but oftentimes we forget to do this, but change all your passwords to all of your accounts. Make sure that nobody else can have access to them. And then block him or her on all of your social media. That is very important. Just block that person. And then also, if there are friends that they have that you're not particularly close to, block them as well, because that helps so they are not tracking you. Apply for your own credit card and your own bank account. Have your own login to any joint account. And this is one of the things that we often forget. Check your phone. Ensure that person is not part of your Find My group. You'll be surprised that you do it when you've set your phone up. Find My allows you to launch it, and that person can see where your location is at any time. But then also Find My has an option. iPhone has an option, and I believe Android as well, where you can share a drive. And you may have forgotten that you gave that person access to your shared drive. So I even forgot that myself for quite some time. Just go to your phone and make sure that person is not part of your Find My group. Their devices are not sharing your account, and your location services are not tracking you. Go to that location service and turn it off. You do not need to have any way for that person to track you through your phone. And if the spouse does stop paying the mortgage, talk with your attorney about a status quo order. Talk with them about a court order that keeps them paying the bills that they are supposed to be paying. And finally, at work, make sure that your work knows that you're going through a divorce, especially if it's a contentious divorce, and that if somebody calls asking about your schedule or asking if you're at work, that they are not to give out that information. Their answer should be, we're not allowed to give out information about an employee's schedule. Just make sure somebody is aware in case your soon-to-be ex is calling, asking about where you are and trying to find out if you're at work or not. And make sure, confide in somebody you trust. You need to have somebody in your inner circle that is very aware of the struggles that you're going through. And if something happens, you're not showing up where you're supposed to be, you can text them 911 if you're in danger. you have some sort of signal with that person. Maybe it is a code word that you text that person so they know immediately if they get that code word over text, they should call the police on your behalf. And then consider attending a support group like Divorce Care. Divorce Care is a 12-week program, very low cost. You pay for the cost of the workbook, and it will walk you through all the phases of divorce. And it's such a tremendous support system. I went through it twice. I found it very helpful. Each time you go through it, you'll be in a different phase of your divorce, but you'll find people who are going through similar situations that can offer advice, and more importantly, they can offer moral support. And then let's talk about that scenario where, that person is threatening suicide. Oftentimes, they don't intend to commit suicide, but you don't know that. So don't attempt to reason with that person, because emotions can escalate when you're trying to reason with them. The National Domestic Hotline recommends that when somebody threatens suicide that you are in a marriage with, you tell the person you care about them, you understand they're upset, but you will not do what they're asking you to do. They recommend you hold your boundaries. But if you feel they are in imminent danger, you can call the hotline, and that is 1-800-273-TALK, 1-800-273-8255. And that is something where you can get help for them, but you don't continue to be subject to being used to control with that threat. So very, very, very important. So those are some helpful tips. If you are experiencing emotional abuse or financial abuse or legal abuse, one thing to understand that oftentimes you don't think about is that post-separation abuse, it's a form of coercion, essentially. It's a power play. Somebody is trying to control you and get you to do what they want you to do using these tactics. And they may have done it throughout the marriage. They may have used it as a bullying tactic. But you do not have to suffer in silence. Surround yourself with legal and emotional support. As we mentioned, the more support you can surround yourself with, the stronger you will be to have strategies to combat that type of abuse. So I hope these tips help you to stand in your power and create boundaries that keep you safe and preserve your mental well-being. So please join me for the next episode of the Silver Divorce Podcast. And before you go, I would ask you to please leave a rating and a review. Share this podcast. And again, I am proud to have this podcast sponsored by the Center for Sports Medicine and Orthopedics and Medicare Misty. Center for Sports Medicine and Orthopedics is the area's leading provider of multi-specialty orthopedic care. Using innovative surgical techniques and technologies, our team of specialists deliver exceptional results backed by exceptional patient care. Learn more at sportmed.com. And Medicare Misty is a real person who can help answer your Medicare questions. Get real help from her team at MedicareMisty.com. Whether you are considering divorce or are newly in the divorce process, we'll help you on your journey and tell you things your attorney might not tell you. Until next time, remember, divorce is just one event. It does not define who you are. I'm Lisa, and see you next time.